Shocking fight, black belt challenges black janitor for fun, you won't believe what happened. The air crackled with tension. It was the kind of charged atmosphere that held 1,000 unspoken words. Crowds gathered, eyes wide, mouths agape, as a black belt strode confidently into the dingy gym, the polished wood glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. His fists were clenched, muscles rippling with each determined step. The challenge was ludicrous, the stakes unimaginable. Why would a black belt pick a fight with a janitor? Nervous whispers ricocheted through the crowd. This has to be a joke, right? One spectator gasped, unable to look away. You think he stands a chance, someone else muttered, skepticism dripping from their tone. The janitor, an older man with a weary smile, appeared unbothered. His mop squeaked against the floor as he pushed it with practiced ease, but resolve flickered in his eyes, as if he knew more than he let on. The black belt laughed, a sharp sound that sliced through the murmurs like a blade. It was an unsettling laughter, cold and taunting. "See mon. I'm just looking for some fun," he shouted, and the crowd shifted, a ripple of discomfort sweeping through. Was it really fun, or something darker lurking behind his bravado? With each second ticking by, the atmosphere thickened. The janitor didn't budge. Instead, he shrugged off his blue shirt, revealing a chest that told stories of labor and strength. A collective gasp rose, mixed with gasps of disbelief. The tension soared. Here was a man, not with black belts or trophies, but years of life experience wrapped up in his weathered skin. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The black belt lunged, the crowd gasped, hearts racing in unison. It felt surreal, as if time had slowed, every pair of eyes glued to the unfolding spectacle. The janitor sidestepped the attack with surprising agility, a swirl of cloth and the hardwood floor echoing the clash. Gasps turned into cheers. The tension boiled over. It was no longer about ego but a raw desperation to prove oneself. Would the janitor tap into something deep, a hidden fire? And in that split second, as they faced each other, breaths held tight, everything hung in balance. Who would emerge victorious from this bizarre clash of worlds? The crowd edged closer, caught in the whirlwind of excitement and fear, not knowing that this moment would rip open something much bigger than a mere fight. What had awakened in that dingy gym? And who was really in control? The janitor pivoted, his eyes narrowing. The crowd echoed with uncertainty. Had they truly underestimated him? As the black belt recovered from his failed strike, sweat glistened on his brow, mingling with an arrogance that was beginning to give way to doubt. "You're quicker than you look," he snarled, charging at the janitor again, fists flying, but the janitor was ready. He dodged left, feeling the rush of air as the black belt's fist narrowly missed him. The guy had technique, there was no denying that. The janitor retaliated, his arm swinging up forcefully, striking the black belt on the jaw. The sound was sharp and resonant, cutting through the noise of gasps and cheers. The black belt staggered back, momentarily stunned, and for an instant, it seemed as if the balance of power had shifted. The crowd erupted, voices a mix of shock and exhilaration. "Did you see that?" someone yelled. "He actually hit him." Even the janitor was taken aback. He hadn't expected that. But the thrill was there, a rush of adrenaline pulsing through him as he finally stood his ground. He glanced at the faces around him, sensing a wave of support building, an unwavering energy propelling his confidence forward. The black belt regained his composure, eyes narrowing with anger. He swiped a hand across his mouth, the taste of blood bitter on his tongue. He was done playing games. You think you can challenge me? You've made a huge mistake. His voice was a guttural growl, filled with a primal instinct for battle. With a renewed fervor, he charged again, this time with an impressive display of speed. But the janitor was ready. He timed his movements, anticipating every feint and attack. They danced across the gym floor, the clash of skill and experience evident in the fluidity of their movements. The janitor's years of manual labor gave him a foundation of strength, while the black belt's refined technique sharpened the edge of his attack. The crowd shrieked, dividing their loyalty in excitement. "Come on, show him!" a voice shouted. "You can't let him think he's winning." With each blow exchanged, the tension escalated. The black belt could sense the shift, the doubts gnawing at him. The janitor wasn't just some lowly worker. Each punch fell against the weight of ambition, years filled with struggle that fueled the fight. And yet, how could a janitor compete against the years he'd spent mastering martial arts? Suddenly, a shrill whistle pierced the atmosphere, slicing through the chaos. Bodyguards, previously silent, moved into the gym from the corners, their faces set with grim determination. "This is over," one of them shouted, stepping forward, raising a hand. The crowd gasped again, but there was an unspoken connection among them. Something had broken free in that dim gym, a bond amongst onlookers drawn into the moment. But who had they really come to champion? The black belt widened his stance, chest heaving, eyes locking onto the janitor with renewed ferocity. "Don't walk away now," he demanded, challenging the janitor even as authority loomed. What lay beneath this facade of bravado? And as the bodyguards moved closer, the janitor felt a tightness in his gut. Was he ready to face not just this man, but the very truths of themselves hidden beneath their facades? The moment surged, heavy with promise, as fists clenched and breaths hung in the air. What would emerge from this clash of worlds, and would the fight continue, or was there a deeper battle waiting to unfold? The spotlight shifted, tense and electric. The bodyguards closed in, their presence a stark reminder that the rules had changed. The crowd whispered fearfully among themselves, some eyes wide, others narrowed in curiosity. The janitor could feel the sweat beading on his forehead again, this time mixed with uncertainty. They were right there, those hulking figures, arms crossed, assessing him like he was a mere puzzle to be solved. Yet, the fire inside him screamed he wasn't just some janitor. He was a fighter. And more than that, he had something to prove. "Back off." The black belt, ever the aggressor, barked at the bodyguards, posturing aggressively, his bravado still intact. "This is my fight." "Not anymore," one of the guards replied flatly, stepping between the two men. "You're escalating this, and that isn't the game we play here." The crowd erupted in murmurs, some fueling the fire with calls for more action, while others wanted to see sense prevail. "Let them fight," someone yelled, only to be hissed into silence by those warning for the guards to take control. Silence fell heavily around them, each heartbeat throbbing louder than the last. The janitor's palms tingled, the anticipation almost unbearable. He wanted to finish this, the battle that had turned into a personal vendetta, but he knew he couldn't fight authority with fists. "Not now. I'm not scared," he said, surprising himself with the steadiness of his voice. "This isn't just about the fight. It's about what it means to stand up." The black belt sneered. "What does any of this mean, huh? You've got nothing but a mop and bucket to fall back on. What'll you do if you lose?" A chill swept through the crowd. Was he right? But the janitor felt a surge of defiance. He wouldn't let them reduce him to that. "That's where you're wrong." He stepped forward, as if to pull the air closer around him, drawing strength from the collective energy. "Losing doesn't define me. I'll get back up no matter what." The words echoed in his ears, a fire igniting within that he didn't realize he possessed. And just like that, he saw the crowd through new eyes. They weren't just there for the spectacle, they felt his truth. The black belt laughed, but it shook. You think you're a hero? This is just a game, Janitor. A game that's about to get shut down. Suddenly, the lead bodyguard stepped forward, his voice booming above the tension. We will allow one more round. But this will be different. No more chaos. If it escalates, we're ending it. The anticipation thickened again, a slow, tense build-up. The janitor glanced again at the faces around him, searching for hope, for belief. A few nodded, their eyes lighting up like candles against the dark. Ready? The guard asked, raising his hand between the two men, an invisible countdown beginning. The janitor's heart raced. He tightened his fists, steeling himself, but above their adrenaline, a new sound emerged, a rumbling growl that drew attention. It echoed from outside the gym, growing louder, vibrating through the very walls, an ominous harbinger disturbing the charged atmosphere. What the hell is that? Someone cried, growing fearful. As everyone turned, uncertainty fell over the crowd like a suffocating blanket. The janitor froze, muscles tense. Something was coming, and it felt monumental. Was this a diversion, or were they about to face something much bigger than a simple fight? With his breath caught tight in his throat, he couldn't help but wonder what would the next moment bring. Would they still be standing here, ready to fight each other, or would this new threat shift the balance entirely? The rumbling intensified, sending ripples of anxiety through the crowd. Faces turned, and for a moment, every fight instinct in the janitor screamed to retreat. But retreat was not an option. Not now, not after everything he had fought for. Stay focused. He urged himself, though his heart pounded like a drum, signaling a warning. The sounds outside grew closer, a cacophony of chaos and muffled voices, a strange mix of roars and screeches that felt out of place in the gym's tense atmosphere. Panic spread like wildfire. Eyes darted towards the exits, and half-formed excuses began to bubble in the crowd's murmurs. Maybe we should go. What if it's something dangerous? The bodyguards shifted uneasily, instinctively scanning the dim surroundings, their earlier bravado evaporating. The black belt's sneer faltered, revealing a glimmer of apprehension. This wasn't just a game anymore. It felt like a harbinger of trouble. Keep calm. One of the guards barked, attempting to reclaim control, yet his voice trembled slightly. We need to assess the situation. The janitor clenched his fists, standing at the center of the maelstrom. He couldn't lose this moment. This wasn't about him anymore. It was about everyone who had silently cheered him on. He took a deep breath and felt the air crackle around him, charged with potential. Slowly but surely, the unfamiliar growls morphed into something recognizable, a deep-throated roar that sent shivers down the spine of anyone who dared to listen. As chills ran down his back, the janitor couldn't shake the feeling that whatever was outside had no intention of leaving them in peace. Suddenly, the gym doors burst open, a creature, a massive figure, loomed in the entrance, shadowed in the dim light, with eyes glowing like embers in the dark. The crowd gasped in unison, paralyzed by disbelief and fear. It was something primal, bred from nightmares, a wild animal, perhaps, but one unmistakably menacing. What the hell is that? A voice shot out, tinged with sheer horror. The tension snapped as the creature roared again, a guttural sound that echoed off the walls. People started to panic, pushing toward the exits. The gym, once a confined arena of conflict, was now a potential slaughterhouse. Hold your ground. The head guard commanded, but his authority felt weak against such raw fear. The crowd swayed like a field of wheat caught in a storm. The janitor stood firm. He had known fear, but this was different. It was unrefined, raw chaos threatening to unleash. We need to work together. He shouted over the panic, but his voice barely rose above the storm of bodies pushing for safety. Then, eyes locked onto him. A few brave souls paused, curiosity overcoming fear. They knew his words bore truth. He was a fighter, and that spirit might just be their only hope. Everyone, listen. He bellowed, adrenaline fueling his voice. We can't let fear control us. If we run, it'll just get worse. We fight together, or we fall apart. Time stood still as uncertainty hung in the air, but something clicked. The crowd hesitated, shifting their gazes back to him. He could see they were searching for strength, for a leader, but the black belt laughed derisively, now on the sidelines of panic. You think you can unite everyone? Look around. His voice dripped with venom and disbelief. The janitor chose not to answer. He only looked back at the creature, adrenaline coursing through him like a wildfire, then, before he could think, instinct kicked in. Everyone. Form a line. We need to approach it together. He didn't know where the bravery surged from, but it didn't matter. As if in a trance, the crowd began forming a semicircle around him. The creature snorted, sensing their energy shift, ready to pounce. Capitalizing on their moment of unity, the janitor stepped forward, urgency pounding in his chest. Whatever this was, he had to face it. Stay ready. He yelled. Together, we fight. But the creature lunged forward, teeth bared, and the janitor's heart raced as he prepared for the ultimate battle. What awaited him on the other side of this? Confrontation? Would he rise to the challenge, or was this the final chapter for all of them? The creature charged, its massive jaws open wide, gleaming with jagged teeth that seemed to promise devastation. The janitor's heart thundered in his chest, but he couldn't let fear take over. Now! He shouted, instinctively raising his arms to signal the crowd. They acted in unison, a hesitant wave of bodies moving toward the beast. A few brave souls lunged forward, arms raised, while others stayed behind, paralyzed by terror. The head guard aimed to keep order, but even he hesitated as the creature lunged, its hot breath washing over them, a grotesque reminder of the imminent danger. A sudden, jolting impact. The janitor sidestepped, narrowly avoiding the creature's slicing claws. They scraped against the floor, sending splinters flying, the noise akin to 1,000 nails on chalkboards. With a deep breath, he recalled every ounce of training he had ever undergone. Hold the line! He exclaimed, willing the others to focus. He grabbed a nearby wooden chair, wielding it like a weapon. It was flimsy, but in the hands of desperation, it could be a shield. He raised it high, aiming toward the creature's eyes. Look for its weak spots. He yelled as the crowd hesitated, caught between wanting to scream and the desperate need to act. The creature snarled, its eyes narrowing, locks of fur bristling as if sensing their fear, but there was something else lurking in those glowing eyes. A strange intelligence that sent a wave of confusion through the janitor. He felt it. It wasn't just a mindless beast but a creature driven by something deeper. He couldn't know what, but he could sense it. The beast wasn't merely attacking, it was searching. Everyone, stay back. A bodyguard cried as he attempted to direct the melee. But the janitor had other plans. He stepped forward, defiance etched across his face. No. We need to confront it, not scatter. It's looking for a fight, and we can't show weakness. With every ounce of grit inside him, he charged forward, swinging the chair with all his strength. It connected with a dull thud against the creature's shoulder, making it pause. The beast recoiled briefly, blinking in surprise. It worked. He thought, heart racing faster than ever. Somewhere behind him, voices began to rise again, a resonating echo of determination. People were responding to his call, regaining their courage, joined by the fire of survival igniting in the gym. They stepped forward, brandishing what they could find: brooms, bags, even gym mats, but the black belt's voice shattered the moment. You idiots! Don't let it trick you. It's a monster. His words dripped with derision, yet there was an edge of fear betraying him. The janitor turned briefly, locking eyes with him. Maybe it's you who needs to listen. He barked back. Everything has a purpose, even this creature. The sound of claws scraping along the floor sent a shudder through the gym again. The janitor could feel the sweat dripping down his back as he steeled himself for another confrontation. As the creature lowered its head, preparing once more to leap, something stopped it, an unexpected growl emanating from deep within its throat, combining fury and confusion. Suddenly, a sharp cry pierced through the air. Gasps filled the room again, accompanied by commotion. The janitor turned just in time to see the bodyguard he once looked up to, ensnared in panic as the creature pivoted towards him. He had lost his nerve and stumbled back. "No!" the janitor shouted, desperation filling his voice. Time froze as the creature's gaze shifted, locking onto the guard. Would this be their final stand? Was it too late to save him? The janitor felt time hang heavy, the fate of the gym hanging by a thread. No more running, no more fighting alone. He had to act, and fast. What path could lie ahead, and would they all survive the chaos long enough to find out? Everything erupted in chaos, a maelstrom of panic and confusion. As the janitor's plea rang out, the creature's eyes blazed with an intensity that pierced through the gloom, fixating on the bodyguard's trembling figure. The janitor's heart raced, muscles coiling like springs, ready to spring into action. "Get out of the way!" he yelled, breaking through the din. Adrenaline surged, and he pushed forward, the flimsy chair still clasped tightly in his grip like a lifeline. He had to reach the guard, had to unite the crowd behind him. The creature hesitated for a heartbeat, as if sensing the shift in energy. In that moment of indecision, fleeting clarity washed over the gymgoers. They saw their fear mirrored in one another's eyes and began to rally, gathering their courage against the overwhelming dread. "Together!" someone shouted. A spark of unity ignited. With renewed fervor, a wave of bodies surged toward the creature, wielding improvised weapons with surprising determination. A gym bag swung through the air, crashing against the beast's flank, while nearby, someone hurled an equipment rack sideways, hoping to distract the monster. But the bodyguard was still rooted in place, eyes wide, fear paralyzing him like a deer in headlights. He knew he should move, should save himself or fight back, but the creature's growl echoed through him, a chilling reminder of their imminent doom. "No! No!" the janitor's voice cut through the chaos again. He stumbled forward, eyes locked on the bodyguard who hesitated between instinctual survival and the desire to protect. "Get up! You have to move!" The creature's claws, sharp as knives, glinted ominously as it prepared to leap. The janitor threw the chair with all his might, trying to distract the beast. It collided with the creature's snout. The impact meant nothing, a mere annoyance for the raging monster, but it was enough to draw its focus. With a roar, the creature lunged toward the bodyguard, and time seemed to stretch as if the world held its breath. But then the unexpected happened. The bodyguard stumbled backward, finding his footing at the last second. The janitor's heart raced, a frantic drum pounding in his ears. Just as the massive creature was about to claim its prey, a booming voice erupted from the shadows of the gym. "Stand down!" A tall figure burst forth, a coach, wielding a metal whistle like a sword. "I said, stand down!" Surprise rippled through the crowd. The creature tilted its head, the growl fading into uncertainty. The presence of authority pressed heavily against its primal instincts, and briefly, as the gym's chaos fell into a hush, the creature hesitated, eyes darting between the coach and the crowd. "Hey, you!" The coach pointed at the janitor, a frantic urgency in his gaze. "Get that bodyguard and get him out of here. Now!" Without hesitation, the janitor sprang into action, pulling the bodyguard from his stupor. "Come on! We can't let fear dictate our actions!" he shouted as he yanked the guard toward safety, the creature's attention still divided, but for how long? Just then, a loud thump reverberated throughout the gym as a fallen shelf crashed to the ground, shaking the very foundations of their makeshift battleground. It was a reminder of how close danger lurked. The crowd murmured anxiously, watching the monster's creation under the wavering light. "What is it waiting for?" someone whispered, dread creeping back into their hearts as the creature's body coiled beneath its own weight. The tension mounted, a thread pulled taut, ready to snap. What would happen next? The creature's obsession still hung in the air. As everyone braced for the inevitable, the janitor's mind raced. There had to be a reason. The creature wanted something, wasn't just mindlessly attacking. What was it searching for? Suddenly, behind the coach, a young girl emerged from the chaos. With wide eyes, she took a step forward, her tiny figure glowing beneath the gym lights. Wait! It scared. Her voice rang clear, cutting through the fog of uncertainty. What did she see? Was it truly fear behind those feral eyes? The question loomed ominously as the crowd fell silent once again. What could she know that they didn't? And was there even a chance to communicate with this beast, or were they all doomed to become its prey? The gym held its breath. The girl's words lingered in the air, weaving through the tension like a thread about to snap. Everyone peered at both her and the creature, confusion wrestling with fear. The janitor felt a shiver run down his spine. Was it possible? Could the monster be more than just an embodiment of terror? As if sensing the shift, the creature's posture relaxed, just a fraction. It stopped pacing, its fierce eyes narrowing. The crowd began to whisper, uncertain hope flickering among them. What is she saying? The bodyguard muttered, still clutching the janitor's arm. Listen to her. The janitor urged, his voice raw. She thinks it's scared. There might be a way to get through to it. But the coach stepped forward, his face creased with doubt. Fear doesn't make it any less dangerous. We can't take that chance. The urge to protect rippled through him, clashing with the reality of their situation. Suddenly, the creature growled again, low and rumbling, snapping everyone back into a state of panic. It shifted on its feet, blood-stained claws flexing with a mindless fury. The sound ricocheted off the gym walls, igniting a primal instinct within the crowd to flee. They pulled back, shuffling away from the looming shadow. Stay still. The janitor yelled, surprising even himself. Don't show it fear. It might sense it. He felt a surge of desperation as he locked eyes with the girl. If it's scared, then maybe, just maybe, we can help it. She met his gaze, her face a mirroring of innocence and determination. No one has to get hurt, she declared, taking another step towards the creature. It's lost, just like us. But her words felt like a fragile piece of glass in a storm, trembling under the weight of reality. The bodyguard hesitated. What if it jumps at you? His voice lowered, filled with terror. You can't just walk up to it. Ignoring him, the girl took a deep breath, a strange calmness enveloping her. She whispered something as if speaking a soft lullaby. The creature's growl faded slightly, head tilting as it watched her. Look! Someone shouted, pointing. The janitor turned his eyes back to the creature. It stepped forward, cautiously. Each movement was less aggressive, more curious. The crowd gasped. Was the girl right? Could they really reach it? As the creature inched closer, the gym seemed to hold a collective breath. The girl stopped, reaching out, palm open. It's okay. I won't hurt you. Her voice trembled slightly but stayed steady. Suddenly, a loud clang rang out, metal crashing against metal as a weight rack toppled over in the panic. The creature recoiled, eyes flaring back to that primal fury, and all hope began to slip away. Run! Someone shouted, breaking the moment. Panic surged through the crowd, and people started to scatter. But the janitor stood firm, instinctively taking a step towards the girl. He had to protect her, their hope flickering like an unwatched flame. Stay still. The coach yelled. We can't let it get closer. But it felt too late. The creature was already on the move, a deadly shadow descending. The janitor braced himself, heart pounding against his ribs. Could fear give way to something else? Understanding, perhaps? The girl's voice rang out again, piercing through the chaos. It doesn't want to fight. But did anyone truly believe it anymore? The crowd was thickening with dread, and time was slipping like sand through their fingers. Then, just as the creature lunged, jaws snapping, a blinding light surged through the gym born from the entryway where the janitor had pushed aside the old wooden door, letting in a golden beam that cut through the night and illuminated the monstrous figure. In that moment, the creature froze, its rage willing to cave under the new presence. Could this light be a guide or a grave mistake? As everyone stared, breath caught tight in their throats, they felt the weight of a decision looming over them. What fate awaited them now? Would they yield to this creature's wrath or find the strength to confront it together? And what of the girl? Was she the key to understanding it all? The blinding light hung in the air like an electric charge. For an instant, everything stopped. The creature, frozen mid-lunge, seemed almost tangible, a phantom caught between worlds. Its eyes glimmered, an unsettling mix of fury and confusion. The crowd, still paralyzed, held their breath. The janitor's heart raced, each beat pounding like thunder in his ears. Did they risk everything for this fragile moment of clarity? He could feel the heat rising off the creature's massive body, an unnatural warmth that contrasted sharply with the chill filling the room. Then, slowly, the creature's growl dissolved into a low tremor. It swayed slightly, as if caught in a battle between instinct and reason. The girl, standing resolute in the face of an encroaching storm, stepped further into the light. "Please, just listen." Her voice rang out again, thin but unwavering, slicing through tension like a knife. The janitor took a cautious breath, shouldering the weight of hope that she could find a connection, that they could speak with this terror instead of only kneeling to it. "Come on," he whispered under his breath, half urging the monster, half imploring the girl. "You can do this." The bodyguard, still gripping the janitor's arm, tightened his hold. "This is madness. Get her away from it." Panic flushed his face white as fear sparked in his eyes, but the girl kept moving. Their eyes locked, a silent agreement formed between them. Her hand extended further, glowing bright under the harsh light. The creature paused, its focus shifting, breath coming out in sharp hisses. Then, a sound echoed from the back of the gym, a door slamming shut. The noise thundered, cutting through the fragile atmosphere and sending the creature reeling. The light flickered, causing the janitor's heart to drop. Everything hinged on this moment. Fear rippled through him. What if they lost it all because of a simple noise? "Stay back." The coach barked, stepping protectively in front of the crowd. "Everyone, get out." "No." The janitor snapped, adrenaline fueling his desperate plea. "Don't make it worse. She can reach it." But his voice was drowned in a swell of chaos. Students swirled around them, scrambling for exits as panic took full hold. The air thickened with confusion, all sanity driven away by primal survival instincts. The creature's rage ignited anew, eyes flaring like coals. It lunged, claws ripping toward the chaos, but something strange and unexpected happened. Instead of dread spilling out with its raw snarls, there was a flicker of confusion. The girl stood her ground, unwavering. "This isn't what you want," she shouted, her voice rising above the chaos like a beacon. "You're not this. You can be better." The creature hesitated. Just for a moment. It stopped and looked at her. Truly looked. Was it possible? Could this impossibly fierce being still harbor a sliver of light beneath its dark skin? Then, with a roar that echoed through the gym, something crucial shifted. The ground shook. A sudden quake rattled everyone's bones, hearts jumping into throats. Desks toppled over, and the lights flickered ominously. The janitor's breath caught as real terror washed over him again. "What is happening?" he muttered, fear coursing through his veins like ice. But just as questions built like a storm ready to break, the creature's attention shifted again, but this time towards the golden light spilling from the doorway behind the janitor. A strange resonance hummed in the air as if it were alive, pulling the creature's fury away from the girl. "Stay with us," the janitor yelled, but doubt wrapped tightly around his words. If the creature turned from her now. Then, before they could process what was happening, the creature bolted running, a magnificent flash of muscle and speed that sent the crowd screaming. It raced toward the light, towards the exit, and the silhouette of its shadow melted into the night outside. Silence descended after the chaos, leaving their hearts pounding in a shared stillness. What just happened? The coach whispered, eyes wide as they found the girl. Her expression flickered from fear to confusion, and then to something deeper, something vast and powerful. We might have done something, she said softly, but before the full weight of her words could settle, a low growl rolled back into the gym from the shadows outside. The janitor's heart sank. What had they awakened? The growl slithered through the air, thick like fog, wrapping around their hearts with chilling certainty. The janitor could feel it crawling beneath his skin, a primal terror that begged him to flee. But he stood rooted, eyes wide, adrenaline surging while he grasped the trembling reality around him. Get back! The bodyguard shouted, skin pale against the shadows. He jerked the janitor aside, eyes darting toward the door, half expecting the creature to burst back through. Panic was bubbling in the air, fueled by shifting whispers and wide-eyed confusion. We can't let it go, the girl's voice cut sharply through the murmur of fear. We need to understand what's happening. She took a hesitant step toward the door, fingers trembling, recalling the creature's flicker of indecision, but the coach, a stubborn silhouette against the gym's stark light, stood firm, blocking access to the exit. You think it's just going to listen to you after everything? You're out of your mind. He thundered, muscles tensed in defiance. Stay away from her. The janitor clenched his fists, heat coursing through him. He felt the weight of something crucial shifting. They had come so close, they couldn't let it all slip away now. Before he could respond, an explosion of footsteps slammed back into the gym. A pair of students, breathless and wide-eyed, stormed through the chaos, shouting warnings. Their voices tangled with the echoes of the growl, amplifying the dark tension suffocating the space. It's coming! It's coming! The doors slammed again, this time with a force that rattled the windows, and goosebumps prickled the janitor's skin as a silhouette loomed in the doorway. It wasn't the creature, at least not directly. The figure stood tall, muscular and defined, wearing a black belt around his waist, his face twisted into a challenging grin that split his expression wide open. Looks like we have a little party going on here, he taunted, eyes glinting with mischief and a hint of violence. The creature's growl harmonized with his aura, feeding off the impending fear, but this man fed on the challenge. What do you want? The bodyguard snapped, tension visible in the tightness of his stance. I heard about the freak show, the black belt challenger said, flicking a wrist as if dismissing the crowd's panic. Thought I'd come have some fun. The janitor's heart raced. This isn't the time. Get out of here. But the fighter only laughed, stepping confidently into the chaos. Is that fear I smell? Simon, who's up for a little spar? He shouted, tauntingly cracking his knuckles as he scanned the room for a target. Someone stop him. A voice broke through, cutting sharp like glass. Panic painted the atmosphere, and everyone shifted back, creating a gap between the specter of aggression and their trembling bodies. Then, without warning, the growl erupted again, more feral this time, and both the janitor and the girl turned toward the door. The creature was back, larger than before, primal rage radiating from its very existence. It pushed through the threshold, eyes locked on the black belt figure, fury flaring anew. Get out! Get away! The janitor yelled, dread flooding his veins, but that wasn't the challenge the fighter wanted. No, he stepped forward, a smirk dancing on his lips. Looks like I've got myself a real beast to tame. The tension snapped like a live wire, a morbid electricity crackling between the two combative forces. Time slowed, breaths caught, hearts drummed recklessly against ribs, and for one harrowing moment, they all understood the fragile thread that stitched peace together fell apart. As the creature lunged, poised for a collision that could throw everything into chaos, the janitor's mind whirled. This was more than a fight, this was the breaking point. Would they stand together, or would the chaos consume them all? But before he could even scream a warning, the clash erupted like thunder, and his breath hitched. He couldn't look away. What would happen next? The black belt leaped forward, eyes gleaming, as the creature lunged. It was a collision of instincts, raw, untamed power unleashed in a moment that shattered the air. The crowd gasped collectively, bodies swaying like reeds in a gust, consumed by fear and fascination. The janitor's heart pounded, every beat urging him to leap into action. No! You can't let this happen. He pushed through the crowd, the weight of responsibility heavy on his shoulders. He felt the eyes of the onlookers, fearful, anxious, yet desperate for an outlet. It was time to stand up, it was time to confront not just the creature, but also their own demons. The creature roared, a sound that rattled the rafters, shaking the very foundations of their perceptions. It was striking the black belt with powerful swipes, making contact that sent the fighter twisting in the air. But the black belt landed on his feet with surprising agility. He grinned, momentarily unfazed, relishing the adrenaline coursing through his veins. "See, mon, beast. Is that all you've got?" With each strike exchanged, tension thickened. The janitor could hear the gasps, feel the electricity buzzing like a swarm of bees. This wasn't just a fight anymore, it was the pivotal battle for everyone's definition of strength and fear. Everyone. The janitor jumped atop a nearby bench, the crowd suddenly hushed, their attention shifting to him. "We need to stop this. This isn't about the animal or his bravado. It's about us." But the chaos kept swirling, people shushing him and others quietly nodding, uncertainty filling their expressions. The black belt continued to taunt the creature. "You think a little rage makes you tough? I've fought bigger battles." The creature snarled again, fury and confusion radiating from its raw intensity. Each time the black belt struck, the janitor felt the air thicken with unpredictability, but deep down he recognized something pivotal: the creature was responding to their fear, their collective doubt. "Look!" he shouted, pointing. "The creature is human in its own way. It's driven by what it senses." "But how?" a voice called from the back, desperation lacing the tremor. "By standing together. By believing we can face this fear." With every ounce of courage, he leaped down, feeling emboldened by a surge of purpose. "Come with me." The crowd hesitated, but one or two ventured forward, following his lead, igniting a changing tide. They were starting to merge into an entity of resilience. The janitor took a deep breath, feeling fire burn within. "We have to believe. This isn't just a fight for survival, it's a fight to reclaim our sense of self." As he spoke, they moved closer, the janitor feeling more connected, the energy mounting with every step. Slowly, they encircled the chaos. The creature and the fighter locked in their primal dance, illuminated by flashes of light and shadow. The black belt threw another punch, landing it with a crack that echoed sharply, but instead of crumbling further, the beast reared back, the determination to survive igniting within its fiery gaze. It met the janitor's eyes, something stirring there, confusion giving way to understanding. "Don't run," he urged again, adrenaline surging. "Show it you're not afraid." The crowd began to chant, "Together. Together. Together." It was a fragile but powerful mantra that unspooled the grip of panic. The creature paused, head tilting slightly, torn between instinct and curiosity. The black belt's bravado faltered, showing uncertainty in his gaze. "What are you doing? You're crazy." "Crazy?" The janitor shot back, fire in his voice. "This is what courage looks like. It's not about fighting. It's about coming together instead of falling apart." Around him, the crowd surged closer, reaching out, each person offering a piece of themselves, speaking their truths. Even the black belt could sense the shift. There was a rhythm, a heartbeat pulsing through them that forged an unbreakable bond against the beast and their desires. In that moment, something extraordinary happened. The creature inhaled, stepping back slightly, as if searching for familiarity. Its growl diminished, morphing into a low rumble, echoing uncertainty, a sign of fatigue rather than aggression. It was a creature in turmoil, not unlike the chaos of thoughts that fought within every observer. See? The janitor slowly moved forward, heart racing. It just wants to be understood. It doesn't want to fight us. He held out a hand, feeling warmth from the people around him. There was silence for a heartbeat, time stretching infinitely. Then the creature advanced, halting abruptly, curiosity flickering in its eyes. If they offered a chance, was it possible it could reach beyond instincts? As the tension hung in the air, the janitor felt a wave of connection flood the room, a synchronized inhale. We can find a way. He spread his fingers wide, urging the creature closer. Let us work together. Another step, and it hesitated, leaning toward him with undeniable caution. The connection surged, hope glimmered like sunbeams through a thick fog. Whatever chaos had driven them to this point could transform into understanding, and just like that, the creature lowered its massive head, a moment of truce blooming between beast and man, tense breaths mingling in the atmosphere. Through shared struggle, empathy began to unravel their fears, overshadowing the anger. Finally, the janitor took a step closer, heart gripped by determination. We should welcome the differences, embrace the unique battles each of us face. Let us lift each other up because none of us are truly alone. The silence shattered, and their chant resonated once more, louder than before. Together. 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 The black belt swallowed, realization dawning, perhaps recognizing, in that unfiltered moment, the true strength of community. And just as suddenly, the growl that had filled the gym transformed into a whimper, a sound so fraught with vulnerability. The creature bowed its head slightly, relinquishing the tension that had shrouded the gym in fear. A wave of relief rippled through them, a palpable understanding brightening the dim space. The janitor stepped closer, heartbeats syncing with the rhythm of this chaotic nexus. Together they had conquered the greatest challenge, an acceptance of their fears and a pathway forged through unity. Silence followed, a gentle nod of acknowledgement passing between him and the black belt, the beast, and the crowd, reminders of their shared humanity. In that sacred moment, they found closure. They stood together, no longer as challengers, but as allies. The battle for understanding had revealed their strength, and in that dim gym illuminated by flickering lights, they had discovered something far stronger than fear. Something, perhaps, that could change everything. And as the light finally flicked on in their hearts, the janitor turned back to face his unexpected supporters. He smiled, knowing that even amidst darkness, they had ignited their own collective courage. Thank you so much for being part of this intense journey. Your engagement has fueled this story beyond measure. Now it's time for action. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that are coming your way. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help bring more people into our amazing community. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and reactions. Let us know what you think of this wild conclusion and any theories you have about what's next. And finally, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this epic journey. Your support means everything. This is the moment to show it. Don't wait even one more second to share. Thank you for being true fans.